I'm going to review the Mexican Grand Prix with Chief Strategist James Vowles now. James, one of the defining features of Sunday's race was that safety car early on. Ricciardo pitting to get rid of the super soft and to take on the medium compound. What did that do to your strategy?
Straight away, it creates a lot of unknown going into the race. So what Red Bull do, and what they did in this occasion, is try and create a situation that becomes potentially difficult to cover later on. The track was actually very different on Sunday relative to Friday. Friday we had 32, if you look over here, 21 ambient, 49 track, very, very different set of circumstances. From all of our work, we didn't believe that medium was going to be able to make it to the end of the race. But what Red Bull were doing is effectively seeing how the race progressed. They started that super soft, it wasn't the strongest tyre in the world, really struggled really at the beginning of the race. They took that medium with the intention of seeing if maybe they could push it towards the end, but they had to convert to a two-stop and taking the soft right at the end of the race.
We all saw Lewis run off at turn one. Was there ever a moment that you needed to bring him in to check things over or to change a tyre?
Definitely, it wasn't out of the question. In fact, you would have seen the pit crew come out in the pit lane with the tyres ready, and we were ready to react. We're looking at a huge amount of data very quickly to understand how severe the problem is, and actually, as a recovery strategy, how bad it would have been. The reality is, bringing Lewis right in at the beginning of the race would have compromised his race, compromised his real championship, really, against Nico to a certain extent. So we took the time to make sure we reviewed the data properly and decided to keep him out and extend that stint as far as we could to help him.
That stint was predicted to be up until about lap 24 on the pit wall strategy predictor, but you did bring him in earlier and you brought Nico in earlier, 17 and 20 respectively. What was the decision behind it eventually?
Very simple, really. With Lewis, we got to a point where we were comfortable we could make the end of the race. So lap 17 was that target region. He was going to maintain the lead. We're going to be ahead of the Red Bulls at that stage, and it was the best decision overall for him tactically. With Nico, slightly different situation. We wanted to make sure we came out ahead of Ricciardo, who stopped under that first safety car, and ahead of Verstappen, who was also right behind Ricciardo. And we used the traffic of Perez and Bottas in order to create a little gap for us. And that was pretty much optimum for Nico where we stopped him.
It eventually became clear that Red Bull couldn't go to the end of the race on that medium compound, taking on the soft. Did that put you under any threat?
It always will. Any circumstance where you have a change in condition that you have to react to is a threat to the win. And what happened here with Ricciardo, they did the right thing. We saw the degradation on the medium. They took the soft tyre towards the end of the race. And what it meant is you had one car that was going to be very, very quick as an offset relative to both Ferrari with Vettel and us with Nico and Lewis. And that's one of the reasons why we stretched that first stint to make sure we went to at least 17 and then a little bit further with Nico to have tyres in a good state by the end of the race. Vettel did something very similar. They also qualified on the soft, same as us, to give that protection. And they went very long, lap 32. And what it meant is they were in the best condition possible at the end of the race on that medium tyre relative to a very fast Ricciardo. And in fact, also with Vettel, put him in a great situation relative to Verstappen, who had to stop on lap 12 so he could overtake towards the end of the race.
Let's look up here at the fastest pit lane time, seeing Lewis right at the top and Rosberg in fourth place, right at the end of the season, still incredible times and so close.
Yeah. Exceptional performance from our pit crew again. Both stops were around 1.94 seconds. That's not the fastest we've done a 1.7, and that's what we call a green light time. So that's the time measured from the car stopping to the light going green for the driver to react. What you see up there is actually pit lane time, so it's the time it takes from the car entering the pit lane to exit the pit lane. So a slight little bit more variance between the two, but very, very happy. One crew really working together to give equal performance, equal stops to both drivers, giving both the best chance of fighting for this championship.
Well, as you said, James, championship continues. We will meet again after Brazil.
Thank you.